That one you uncensored. Anywhere in the world it uncensored. Pure music, news, interviews on the topic uncensored. Everybody does I love this real bad. We go all out, we go all out and done. We go all out, we go all out and done. We go all out, we go all out and done. Party till night come down. Here we go all out, we go all out and done. We go all out, we go all out and done. We go all out, we go all out and done. Party till night come down. I would girl them a few, hanging off interview. I want to for them not a few. Every step in my shoe is something new. Them calling them friends and them crew. Earlier that one I run with like a road taxi. It uncensored, call the paparazzi. And it up in your face like acne. Not even stop sign can't stop me. That one you uncensored. Anywhere in the world it's uncensored.
Welcome to season 3 of Uncensored. Ladies, welcome. This is our 3rd season, and as you all can see, we have a beautiful addition. Katja, don't put your head down. Say hi, Katja. Everybody, this is Katja Fire.
Everybody. Thanks for having me.
So, you hear the name? Katja Fire. That means we have some hot stuff to talk about, you guys. We are about to have our social circle, which is brought to us by Panache. Ladies, you know we like to talk. So what do you want to talk about?
Some people say they want to talk about my boyfriend. You saying I'm just day after defending him. So I want to start.
So listen, the name alone, Bolt. All right. So we know internationally he's well known. We know he is on fire. Energy everywhere. Why do we care who people lay down with? Why?
Well, first of all, let's just congratulate him on his 3-time
oh my gosh
gold medal in Rio. Okay, great job on that.
Gold medals.
Okay, we know it's your man.
Okay. Let's just keep
we know. All right. But we do care who he sleep with. Yes.
Why?
Yes. We are the public. This is what we do.
But
we want the juicy stuff. No, we're just curious.
Let me tell you something. Each person has their profession. If we are walking in the right lines in our profession, past that, I don't care who people are laying. I am proud of him. I am proud that he is recognized by all races, all nations. They show him love. I want to know who's the one that wants to be in his business. That's what I want to know.
But here's the thing. Well, I represent the nosy people out there. Listen, the thing is, Usain Bolt, before he went to Rio, we were introduced to Cassie as my queen, my girlfriend.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Once you present that to people, then they're going to look at you to do the right thing.
Now, what is the right thing?
The right thing is if you present a girlfriend to us, a significant other. I know you're saying he's not married, he's not entitled, but Cassie, as your girlfriend, she's entitled to some kind of respect.
Cassie have to fend for herself. Cassie, all the women who regular women have to fend for themselves. When the man left you and gone, you better know what you need to do.
Mac,
why do we feel so sorry for Cassie?
We don't feel sorry for Cassie. We just want it to look like he's doing the right thing. You get what I'm saying? It's not. You present her to us as your girlfriend. We want you to be doing the right thing.
Wait, hold on.
Which is not cheating on your girlfriend.
Wait. Hold on. I guess I'm kind of lost. It seems like you are also.
No, Shandy just don't care.
No. But I'm kind of lost. What do you mean by cheating on his girlfriend? I just want to understand. Make sure we're thinking and talking about the same thing.
Okay, so being caught in bed with a camera, somebody's cell phone camera.
That doesn't mean you had sex. You could have been just taking pictures.
Okay, he didn't have sex, but you're in a club with your mouth in somebody else's throat.
He's giving her CPR.
She was drunk.
That was it.
Oh, it's drunk.
Listen.
So us regular gals, you're saying if our man just go outside and say, I'm cheating on you, that's fine?
First of all, we don't know what kind of relationship
we don't know.
they have. Suppose they have an open relationship. And he just busts the can of worms and she kind of embarrassed. So she has to say what she has to say. I honestly, Bo, no disrespect to you, I don't care. You're not resting your pipe on me. I really don't care what you do, right? More power to you. If you was coming to me and we were living together, then we'd have to discuss this at home. You understand? whoever your woman is, kudos to you, homegirl. When he come home, you beat the living life out of him if you have to. But keep that between the two of you. You understand?
So listen,
we don't need to know about it. It's not
No
a
padlocks, no padlocks.
He wasn't worried about it. It's
Yeah, he
obvious.
wasn't.
He's all up in the camera.
Yeah, he was
about
looking. He was like literally looking at the
So
camera.
maybe, so how about it that he was performing for the camera? How about
Exactly.
It could be
was his birthday.
publicity
It was his
stunt.
birthday.
Yeah.
Why do we automatically
You only turn 31?
assume that he was disrespecting his woman? Maybe it was just a friendly kiss. Cause wait, hold on. It's all in the mindset.
Whatever.
Do you kiss your friends like
Whatever.
that?
Both.
Some
Beat
people
it.
do.
They want to get it beat. Beat it.
No, it depends.
It depends on who it is.
That's what it is.
So I'm not promoting that you cheat on your significant other or anything like that. I just don't want to assume anything.
But here's the thing. The man did it. I hate this topic because I'm so over it. I'll be honest. I'm over it. I've had enough. But here's a point that they brought up which is he said something to the effect he's Jamaican, and in his culture you're allowed
It's
to see
acceptable.
other women.
Yeah, that
Here's
wasn't
what
good.
my father was a DJ from St. Vincent, and he told my mother when she was pregnant with me, for every one man is 10 women. And I don't know if that's a Caribbean thing, because when Bolt said that, I just laughed, and I had to call my mother. So, times have changed. Within our society in America, it is not acceptable, but it is acceptable. It's a two-edged sword, because you have the side woman, as they call her, the side chick,
Side piece.
chick,
Wait,
side piece, right?
and they've
But then
existed for centuries.
In
Sorry.
Jamaica, it's Métis, and in Trinidad is the Horner woman. You understand? So it's different sides to the story. Like I said, he not resting the pipe on me so he could do what he want. Had he come to me now, I would have said, we have to do this discreetly, Bolt. No picture, maybe a picture, because I want people to know, yeah, Bolt was with me. But I don't know. I mean, the fact that if the girl was really a hooker for, her man was what? An old drug
Some
cartel
kind of old
dude?
drug dealer, yeah.
She knew what she was doing. If you're gonna, and that's the next thing, ladies. If you're gonna have sex with a man or have intimate moments or just take pictures in bed with him just to say you did something, don't share it to your friends unless you know you want to get famous. Then that's a different story.
Yeah, but she had an agenda. Maybe
She had an agenda, and to him it don't matter to him because he got gold medals. And when he go back, he's still gonna have his Nike deal. He gonna have his Milo deal. He gonna have his Cricks deal.
Nike deal. It's Puma.
He gonna get Nike now. Whoever he get, like he running, he just doing it. So he gonna get something. That's just how I feel.
My thing is, come out of people business.
That's it. Leave him alone.
Oh,
Let him
and by the way,
house.
they're on vacation, him and Cassie.
That's it. And
Yeah,
she's
so
also
there-
behind
so
every
there's no-
tweet, I'm sure.
There's
So how
no.
you feel?
there-
Yeah, how do you feel?
I wasn't aware my feelings was involved in this.
No, but you want to know what happened. So how do you feel like he's back with his woman now?
Oh, I never felt a way that he
Oh.
was getting his thing on.
Okay.
I was just saying, if you present a girlfriend to me, I'm expecting you to be a upstanding
But they're
girlfriend.
all together, so
But-
obviously
I'm
he's
sorry.
living the
Yeah, so my
upstanding
feelings
life.
are not involved. He ain't cheating on me.
All over social media, I hear guys like they putting in their little thing, and you know what they're saying? Y'all need to stop because y'all women been cheated on by poorer dudes.
Yes.
And it happened, and y'all
Keep
still
it
stay
real.
there. Cassie,
Wait.
keep your mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Not only that, wait, no. Both get caught. If it was a woman, they couldn't catch her.
And if they did, it would be worse.
There would be no picture.
Yeah, if they did, it would be worse. That's a
If
there's.
it was Cassie, there would be no evidence. So let's just leave it alone.
Oh my gosh.
So-
If it was Cassie,
Yes.
the repercussions would be worse. Am I right or wrong?
Yes.
It's a double
The
standard.
way
It
we
would have
be
been
speaking
worse.
about
Yeah.
her, it would be
Well,
negative. We know
Not
that.
really, no. Yes
Yeah.
and no.
You think Bolt being Jamaican would stay with Cassie if he found out she was cheating?
He still would have stayed with her. He
Yeah,
probably would have
maybe
had
Jamaican man.
his matey.
Hell no. He would have been
He wouldn't
running
stay,
just
no.
like he do. He would have been out of there.
No,
He would have
no,
still
wait,
taken his
no,
piece on the
wait.
side from her.
You
He
guys
would
keep her.
have take a piece from the side from her. That's a trophy woman. She's a good looking woman, so he would
Yeah.
just keep her and say, "Yo, that's my
Good
woman."
looking, educated.
What we have to do, I know we have a lot more to talk about, and I like how this is going. Listen, we are going to come back next week, and we are going to talk some more. Get your minds
more
right,
hot
ladies,
topics.
because we're going to have some more of this social circle. So we want to thank everybody for just being with us. So stay tuned because we have a lot more. We have some great guests with us today. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Upscale and stylish dining has finally come to Southeast Queens. Panache Restaurant, Bar, and Lounge brings the elegance and essence of Manhattan to the comfort and convenience of Queens. Panache is home to the one and only Eurosoul menu. Our Eurosoul menu consists of mouth-watering Mediterranean, Moroccan, Caribbean, and soul food-infused entrees, appetizers, and desserts made to order by our kitchen chefs. Join us after work at Panache. Our 25-foot full-service bar features 2 large state-of-the-art TVs. Try all of our delicious specialty cocktails created exclusively by our in-house...
All right, everyone, welcome back to Uncensored. With us right now is John C. Kim. He is a lawyer, and he represents you in a number of different ways as far as immigration, as far as divorce, as far as bankruptcy. Any one of those things or more, they can come to you for that, right? Welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
So, where are you located?
I have an office in downtown Brooklyn at 50 Court Street. I've had that office for 12 years. I also have an office in Queens and one in New Jersey.
Brooklyn, Queens, and New Jersey.
That's right.
So the tri-state can basically find you if they wanted
That's
to.
right. And I'm in many different courts in both of those states.
Yeah. So with all those 3 things, what's the most you see coming out of our community here in Brooklyn?
You know, my focus and my practice is what I call debt resolution. So a lot of my cases are based around debts.
Okay.
So I do a lot of bankruptcies. I've filed over 3,000 cases here in Brooklyn and New Jersey and Central Islip and Long Island and everywhere. We do a lot of loan modifications for people, clients who own homes. Also, we do debt negotiations, and also people who have businesses. We restructure their commercial loans and things of that nature.
So can we talk a little bit about loan modification? Because as you know, with what happened in the financial market a few years ago, a lot of persons finance homes that became home poor.
Right.
And they were totally upside down. And a lot of companies actually, I don't want to use the Caribbean word rip off, but defrauded these people, charged them exorbitant funds to modify the loan, and that never happened. So can you just explain how the process works and why it would be good for them to hire an attorney?
Of course. I mean, we do a lot of loan modifications. That is a huge chunk of my business. And Michelle, you're very well informed. I mean, in 2008, 2009, it was a tragic thing that happened. Things that we can't control, economic forces that we can't control. And a lot of people were given these loans that they really can't afford.
Couldn't afford,
Right. So, I mean, I don't place the blame totally on the banks, but generally banks and institutions, insurance companies, they're my enemies. I fight against them.
Right.
So when I'm in court, I'm always up against a bank attorney. But as specifically as to that, Brooklyn especially was hit hard. A lot of people came in. I do real estate a lot too, and I remember some clients came in and they would, have maybe a salary of $30,000, something, pretty basic. But the mortgage broker was giving them like a $600,000 loan for a house, and I told my client, like, are you going to be able to afford this? I mean, your net income monthly is like $2,000. Your mortgage payment is going to be $4,000. How are you going to work this? I mean, this was very common. And the mortgage brokers and the banks would say, well, it's a 2-family house. You can rent out 3 rooms and do this and do that. But that's much easier said than done. So most of those folks over the years, I mean, defaulted on their mortgages, and the banks are coming after. At the end of the day, the only thing that the banks and these big money institutions care about is money.
Yes.
It was to push out these kind of unserviceable loans, and then as soon as they default, they foreclose and start trying to evict, move people out of houses. So, as far as my work, I've had many clients. We hold these banks off in court. We file an answer. We go to the settlement conferences. We make sure that there's nothing done without going through my office. And once an attorney is involved, the banks, back off.
Slow down.
So I can slow that process down during that time. We can try to modify the loan. We can possibly sell the home. There are good stories and bad, but if I have time, I'll tell one quick story. bankruptcy client, nice lady in Brooklyn here. She lives in Bed-Stuy. 2009, 2010, I filed a bankruptcy, and at the time, the house was, I'm going to run a few quick figures out, right? The house was worth about $400,000, right? She defaulted, her husband died, her son was, had this terrible illness, and just things, life happened. She defaulted, the banks were all over her. They kind of gave her a modification, they pulled it back, and all kinds of weird business, right? So I took them to court. I held them off from doing any further action. In the meantime, in the 4 or 5 years, the bankruptcy was over. She was cleared of all debt. And I don't know if you know this happens, but when you file a bankruptcy, if you have a mortgage, the personal liability that you have on that mortgage, you don't owe anymore because of the bankruptcy. But the banks still have what's called a mortgage, right? So they can still take the house back. They can foreclose on the house and sell the house. Right? So she was in that situation in 2010. She didn't pay the mortgage for 5, 6 years, but luckily in Brooklyn, which is my home too, and especially in Bed-Stuy, the price of the house skyrocketed. Right? So it went from like $450 to maybe $1.1 million in the span of 4 or 5 years. So I was working with her this whole time, and at the end of the day, she still couldn't afford to keep the house, but the value went up so much. We sold it.
Paid off the
all her debts are gone. She made a couple $100,000. She found a little nice place, and that's a happy ending story.
Wow, that's the first case where gentrification worked for someone.
Right.
We know that's a huge issue. When we talk about immigration, do you have clients who are coming to you and saying, I have been ripped off by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attorneys? What are you going to do different for me?
I'll tell you something. First of all, immigration, I am a bankruptcy foreclosure defense, that kind of court attorney.
Yes.
Immigration, I had an attorney who did immigration, so my personal knowledge of immigration is not that great. But we do simple, pretty straightforward immigration cases, but more directly on point. What I see, and the reason that I'm very happy in my practice here in Brooklyn, is that the West Indian community, the Caribbean community, I think they're underserved. They're not well represented by counsel. So I've had multiple times where clients have come in for immigration or divorce or loan modification or bankruptcy where they've hired some attorney who they never saw the attorney. They sent some per diem person, pay some attorney $50 to go to court with them when they had to. That happens all the time. And I don't think that's fair. It's not fair representation. I think people are taken advantage of. They're
what makes someone
in a lot of ways.
What makes the experience of someone different when they come to your firm?
Because I handle my own cases. When you come in, you'll consult with me. I have 2 attorneys, but unless I can't. I'm not 3 people. So I can't do 3 at once. But I'll schedule it so I can meet all the clients when I first retain them. And I can't do all the work also, so I have staff that does it, but I oversee exactly what they do. The clients can always reach me, and when we go to court, I always go. Unless there's a direct conflict where I send an attorney or hire, per diem for that day, I always go. And it gives me a lot of pleasure too, because I think I mentioned this earlier. When I come out of court as someone who has had $120,000 in credit card debt and all these things, they've been living under this cloud. This cloud of debt for 5 years. When they come out of court and they know that it's discharged in bankruptcy, they're a new person.
Yeah.
So what does that do?
Can you explain with bankruptcy though? To my understanding, it's like mixed reviews. They say it's good to do bankruptcy because you clear your debt. However, it stays with you for a certain amount of years, and then you can't get a house if you want to get a house. If you want to travel, it's kind of difficult. You want credit cards. So can you clear that up for people who are misinformed about bankruptcy?
Sure. That's a great question.
Thank you.
And I know how to answer that question.
What I would like you to do, just hold on to that question a little bit. That's the end point. Could you just walk us through the process? Why would someone file for bankruptcy? And when they file for bankruptcy, what are the effects at the end based on what Shandy just asked?
I'm going to just give you a quick summary. All right. First of all, for individuals and for regular people, there are 2 chapters in bankruptcy that's available. One's a Chapter 7, one's a Chapter 13. Chapter 7 is a simple discharge bankruptcy. It's a liquidation bankruptcy, meaning I have X amount of debt. So imagine this table. I have I have this, the flowers are my income, okay? I make $1,000 per day, so I make $3,000. But I got, and each of the mugs here are like debt, right?
Okay.
So I have like six, each of this $25,000. I got $125,000 in debt, and I make $3,000 a month. I cannot possibly service that debt. Right. So when you go to court for a Chapter 7, you're saying, Your Honor, I can't pay this. I'm sorry. Things got out of hand. There was an illness, or there was a divorce, or I just overspent. I didn't realize what was happening. I need some help. And the U.S. bankruptcy laws. I'm Korean, so I come from a culture where if you're in debt, people come banging down on your door and they start selling your stuff. Right? You're sleeping on your bed. They'll just pull it out and sell it if they can. But the U.S. bankruptcy laws are very liberal. Right? They give you a second chance. This whole country, in fact, is based on second chances. When people first came here, it's because over in Europe, they were having a hard time, so they came here, they had a second chance. So the laws kind of reflect that. And in the Chapter 7, what happens is, okay, if you prove to me that you only have those 3 flower incomes and you got this 6 mug debt, then we will wipe that debt away, right? Just clean. You owe that debt no more, right? And to address your question, Jandy, is the only thing, if you imagine this picture as your credit report before you file the bankruptcy, you're not going to get a mortgage anyway. Right. You got $125,000 in debt, you make $3,000, you're not going to get a mortgage, right? Your credit report is in the 500s or whatever. You're not going to get anything.
Wow.
Once you file the bankruptcy, the debt is gone. You still have the income, right? You can rebuild your credit. In fact, the credit card companies you'll get a credit card company offering you new credit cards right after bankruptcy. They want to get you hooked back into that credit system. So you got to be careful, but you use that system, you rebuild your credit, you'll be much better off after bankruptcy.
So does your credit go back to 0?
No, I think it's on a scale from like 500 to 850. Right?
Okay, so it can't go below.
I would say a typical client who comes in with all this debt, their credit score is like 550, 600, right? After the bankruptcy, it doesn't go any lower. It remains at 560, 550, 560. But over like maybe 6 months, a year, if you use credit appropriately,
it'll build back.
You can get it up to 600, 650, 750.
And most banks would actually give you a loan after 2 years if you started rebuilding your credit.
Yes.
But the key for people, I tend to think I'm an expert in this.
You should come work with me.
So the key for folks who actually did have a bankruptcy discharge is yes, the credit card companies are going to come looking out for you, but look at that interest rate. Because the interest rate is going to be significantly high. So if you don't look at that interest rate, then you're going to find yourself in the trap all over again. While you do want to build the credit, the important thing is when you don't charge more than you can afford to pay at the end of the month. Because if you can't, then you're going to go through that cycle again. But here's the second here's the second part to that. How, sometimes we perpetuate the cycle. So I had a bankruptcy this year, and then 4 years later, I have another $150,000. Can I file a bankruptcy again?
You can file Chapter 7 8 years after the first filing.
Okay.
Those are the rules. Chapter 13, you can file before. You can file Chapter 7, and then a year, 2, 3 years later, you can file Chapter 13. So the rules are different. Chapter 13 is a repayment. Say you own a house. This is where it gets, the rubber meets the road here. Is if you own a house and you have if you have equity of more than $150,000, then you can't file Chapter 7 because the trustee will take your house.
Okay.
Right, but what's called a homestead exemption here in New York, you can have equity of $150,000 in your residential home, meaning. If the house is worth $500,000 and you have a mortgage of $350,000, then you have a $150,000 mortgage. Meaning, if you sold the house, that's how much you're going to take home, right? That's your equity, right? And you're allowed to have $150,000, $300,000 if you're a married couple that own the house together in equity, and you can still file the Chapter 7. But if you have more than that, then you can file Chapter 13, which is a repayment of a percentage of the debt that you owe over time. Right, it gets a little complicated. I don't think. I
have some issues with the loan modifications.
Okay.
Why is it? And I'm saying this because I've gone through it. why is it that it takes so much and it takes so long? And I don't know if anybody has done this, but the bank will ask you to send the same documents. And, it's like 60 pages over and over and over again. And, while I was going through it, which is about 5 years ago, I really thought, they are trying to piss me off so that then I can just say, forget it. Yeah. And then they can come and take my house, that process is so lengthy. And do you think, and I did it by myself. I didn't hire an attorney, and I was super frustrated. So I'm asking you, as the attorney, of course, you may just say, you should have gotten an attorney. To handle those stresses?
Yeah, banks, like I said, they are my enemies. They make the paperwork so burdensome and complicated that a lot of people just give up. Right? But if you do use an attorney, right, we keep track of everything. We can hold them accountable, and you have a better chance of getting a successful loan modification.
And in a shorter time frame.
In a shorter time frame.
Yeah, it took me a while, and I got it, and the judge was like, Ms. McKenzie, you did this on your own? I'm like, yes, I'm still suffering with the stress, from it. But
we've handled like 500-600 loan modifications in the last few years, and they're terrible. They change representatives, and they say, okay, well, that person's no longer here, so send me your new pay stubs. I just sent you last week's. Well, I need them, right? And they say, you need to fill this out, or you need to sign this, or I need the blank page of your bank statement, and stuff like silly things like that, right? And they just push it off and off and off, kind of hoping that people will give up on it.
I'm crossing my fingers that I never have to again, but if I do, I've got your number. And we got a little connect going on here, so.
And we have the Baltimore connection.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Nice.
We got the Baltimore connection here. I have two things I have to ask before you leave.
Okay.
One thing I want to address is student loans.
Okay.
Do you provide assistance for those? I know I was told that you cannot file for any kind of bankruptcy with regards to student loans.
Yes.
Can you clarify that as well?
Yes.
And what are steps people can take if they want to increase their credit without going through filing Chapter 7, Chapter 11, or Chapter 13 if they have a business?
Okay. Okay, two very different questions, and very good questions. You're just full of good questions.
Go, Shandy.
These are really great. The questions are very substantive and very good. Student loans they're generally non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. They're open to what's called, we call it the iron lung defense. You have to be virtually in a coma to get a discharge of student loans in bankruptcy.
Wow.
I'll tell you, before 1997, student loans were dischargeable in the Chapter 7 bankruptcy, but they changed the laws, right? Because and it kind of makes sense, because the student loan kind of companies were drying up, they were tightening up, they were not giving loans to students. So that's not a good thing, right? So they changed the laws where they're non-dischargeable. Right? Unless you're like 89 years old and you've lost both your legs, you can never work again, you're not going to get a discharge of student loans in bankruptcy. The second question is that once you file, I'm telling you, I think if you're in a certain situation, this is what I can assess. Filing a bankruptcy can lead to a quicker rebuilding of your credit, right? But if you want to avoid filing the bankruptcy, you can negotiate with the individual creditors and try to pay it off at a discount. But one thing that people don't understand when they do that is if you owe, Chase credit card $10,000, and they say, hey, we got a special offer, just pay us $4,000, and we'll call it even, right? You can't get those kinds of those kinds of deals. But what they don't tell you is the $6,000 they discounted off. They send a report, what's called a 1099-C, to the IRS, and that's counted as income to you. So you have to pay taxes on the $6,000.
See,
we are learning.
Let me answer in regards to that. So that is regarded as income, but don't they also send that to your credit report that they wrote off $6,000?
Exactly.
So that now have a negative effect on your credit.
I don't think in that scenario, it's going to reflect paid for less than amount due or something like that. And that is a very negative rating on your credit report. It's not that much worse than having a bankruptcy, except in a bankruptcy, you get the benefit of getting the debt wiped away.
Right.
You didn't pay $4,000
And you didn't pay
to get the
taxes on it
$10,000.
either.
And you don't have any taxes
So
on it.
you do debt, which we've established a million times over.
Yeah.
My question is this: for a student who, you know, the American dream is to go to school, get an education,
Yeah.
but what they tend to not tell you is it's very expensive to achieve this dream.
yeah.
So if you want to be a garbage man, go right ahead. You're getting that money still.
That's right. That's right.
What I'm getting at is, why is it, and you probably won't be able to answer this question, but why is it these loan companies like Sallie Mae and Navient offer these huge amount of loans? And let's say you only want to take out $5,000, but the loan that they give you is for about $7,000. So you have this extra change, and you're a college student. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
but then you have to pay this back. It's like, I only wanted $5,000. Why can't I get $5,000?
Yeah.
So how do we address that to the student? And if they're stuck in that debt now, what advice would you give them?
You know, student loans, my opinion is that, you know, much like the subprime mortgage crisis in 2008 and 2009, student loan is a huge, huge issue in the U.S. economy. Right now, I can't run the figures off my head, but it's like $1 trillion in student loans outstanding. There's a 30% default rate. It's a big problem. Something's going to give sooner or later. I think within the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a change in bankruptcy laws where it may be dischargeable, or they're going to have some kind of step plan where you pay based on your income. There's a lot of different plans out there, but it is a huge, huge problem. As far as what you can do, and this seems very personal to you.
I can talk to Rich. I don't have a house. I can speak
I didn't do it. Yeah, I mean, it's very exploitative in my mind, because it's not just student loans, it's credit cards too. I remember when I was in college, they had this like American Express and Chase Get Your First Credit Card. You know, by definition, most students have no income. So why are they getting credit? It doesn't make any sense. It's because the big companies want to get you tapped into the system as early as possible. So you start using credit like it's money in your pocket when it is not money in your pocket. Same thing with the student loans. You know, we'll give you all this student, you know, we'll give you $10,000 and then use $5,000 for the tuition and a couple thousand for the books, and then, you know, you can spend the rest going out and having fun. But they shouldn't be doing that. It should be on a required basis where they pay the tuition and that's it. That makes more sense because you need the education, but you don't need the extra $2,000. Go, you know, you can go work and make that. I worked at Burger King when I was in college. Where am I spending money? But that's what you should be doing. But the money just flows because, you know, the banks and institutions, the more money they push out, they don't care about the default rate. They don't care about the bankruptcy, because the more money they push out, the more money they make at the end of the day.
So what would be your recommendation for our listeners out there with regards to how to be more financially sensible, and savvy, and not coming to visit you? Even though if you have a problem, you need to visit you. You know what I mean?
That's not the only thing I do. I do good things too, like divorces.
Good things. Financially, because a thing about Caribbean folks, we're so proud that oftentimes we don't want to let anyone know that we have a problem. And we can't solve the problem ourselves, and we don't have the education and the mindset to know what the laws are. So it's very important that if we do have the problem, that we see an attorney and somebody who could represent us and help us through it. So that's why, you know, I would like for you to tell our listeners, okay, here are the downfalls, here are the pitfalls, that these are the things that you shouldn't do. However, if you did it, this is what I could do for you to get you back on the right track.
Right. Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. Is education is the key thing. You know, from an early age, I think there should be some financial competency education, you know, because that really has an impact on your adult life, right? When you're, you know, in high school, college, you should, you know, much like you study English literature or, you know, economics or history or whatever, you should have some financial literacy on what's going on, how money works. You know, they say money makes the world go round. It does, but you don't want to get caught up in that spin, because in order to not get caught up, you have to know how it works. So from an early age, I think young people should be educated on how credit works, how mortgages work, and how all these very important things work, right? you gotta, at the end of the day, if I had to give one piece of advice to avoid seeing me, I like seeing people, but to avoid seeing me, just don't, if anything's too easy, it's usually not a good thing.
True.
Okay?
There you have it.
If someone gives you a $500,000 mortgage and you're only, making $20,000, it doesn't make sense. It's too easy. It's not going to work, right? If someone's giving you anything for free, right? It's not something that's going to work out in the long run, right? So anything that's too, I'm 51 years old now.
Oh, very good for you.
One thing I've learned is, nothing comes for free in this world, right?
Yeah.
So just be sensible. Don't spend more than you have. Use credit wisely, if at all, right? If you get into that trap, you are going to end up in my office. As much as I like people, I want people not to have to buy what they don't have to, right? So that's my
But
thing.
you know what? Because oftentimes we're in that trouble period,
Yeah.
but we don't know that we're getting there. So what would be the signs that they should look for so that if they're seeing that they're getting to that peak, okay, now I need to hire an attorney before I get over that?
Right now with people use the internet for all kinds of stuff. You look at cat videos, you do YouTube and all this stuff, but use it a little bit to. There's some very basic finance. You don't have to be some genius. Like a financial calculator. You have income. And there's a thing called DTI, debt to income ratio. If you're making after taxes $3,000, everything that you pay should be less than that, probably less than half of that, and try to put some in savings. Right, that's the way you should look at it. It's not hard to do. $3,000, rent is $1,000, so I got $1,500 left for utilities, a car payment, whatever, and then I got $500 spending money. Make sure month by month you don't spend more than that. It is much easier said than done, but it is available. That kind of information is available, and people should make use of it.
Before we go, can you give us a little tidbit on what you do with regards to divorce? Because we didn't get to touch that.
Right.
I'm so stuck on the finance.
Yes.
I mean, divorces are, I got to tell you, I don't really like doing divorces too much because people are not happy, like from the beginning through the end. Like bankruptcy is actually people are happy at the end, because all this debt is off them. But divorces, people come in unhappy. They're pretty unhappy throughout the process, and even when they get a divorce, they're kind of unhappy.
So
so unhappy.
Things didn't work out type thing, But I do that. I especially because I have a lot of Caribbean clients and a lot of overseas clients. We do a lot of missing spouse divorce where you can't find your spouse. You got to be careful. You can get a divorce, but I see a lot of these ads where it says no signature necessary divorces. I don't. That's not possible under the law.
Does that work? Yeah. How does that?
Have you been tested? Is that what it's called?
Well, it's uncontested, but I mean.
But you still need a signature from.
You need to have served the person.
And done your due diligence.
Yeah, you have to have a process server who served the papers to the spouse, and you need his signature. You need someone's signature. It's a constitutional due process, right? A divorce is an adversary proceeding where I'm suing you for divorce, so you have a right to know that I'm suing you. I can't just get it by myself because I want it, right? So you have to go through the process. So I do a lot of those where people can't find their divorce, their spouses they want to get divorced from. There are ways to do it. It's a publication divorce. There's different ways to do it. It's a little more complicated. It takes a little more time, but I do a lot of those.
I'm glad you said that though, because and it's a misconception within the Caribbean community.
Yeah.
Not to disrespect some people who do it. There are people who get married for papers, and that method is one way to get the divorce done quickly.
Yeah.
But now, what if you meet somebody, you marry them for their papers, and they refuse
That's against
to
the law.
divorce you?
Wait.
It is against the law. Let's establish that. In America, it is against the law to marry somebody for papers. It is against the law.
Yes.
No matter
That's
how much
fraud.
money they pay you, it is against the law.
You should not
You
do
should
it.
not do it. Even if they say they're going to buy you a house and a car, don't do it.
But if you decide to do it, the question that
If it
Shanny's going to
happens.
ask.
If it does happen now, what do you do if the person refuses to divorce you because they see that the money is coming in, they're filing taxes with you, and they're getting all this great stuff, and they possibly made a baby with you? What do you do next? How do you go? Because it becomes messy when you have children.
It does.
So
yeah, that's why I say I don't like divorces. And that's not an uncommon scenario. People get married for different reasons, and they shouldn't do certain things. But like I said, life happens. You make decisions. you find yourself in a place where you have to get something done, a divorce, and it's hard because the other person isn't cooperating, there's a child involved. It gets very complicated. The thing is, between an uncontested divorce and a contested divorce, it's two different worlds. An uncontested divorce, whether it's by way of publication or service and the person doesn't do anything and you get a divorce that way, that's paperwork, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy, but it has to be done right. But it's, I can do it in my office and take the papers to court and get it done. But a contested divorce is where there's really no reason behind it. Someone doesn't want it. I've had so many cases where it's people, there's no money, nothing to be had, no children, nothing, but they just don't want to give you a divorce. They want to give you a hard time. For whatever reason, the only way you can legitimately get a divorce in that situation is if the guy or the girl, either party puts up a fight, you got to bring him to court. Yeah. That's a contested divorce. That's in front of a judge. That's hearings. That's going to court at 9:30 in the morning, waiting 3 hours to see the judge for 2 minutes.
Gosh.
And imagine, I charge I don't want to tell my.
Can you give us a sample of your fees?
I actually charge. A lot of the thing is, if I have to go to court and it's litigated, I charge $400 an hour. Okay. But most of my cases, including most divorces and bankruptcies and loan, those are flat fee based, right? So I'll tell you what I'm going to charge when you come in, right?
So it's not unaffordable, folks.
No, it's not. But a contested matter, I mean, it's bad because there's a lot of time spent in court, a lot of wasted time, just sitting there, traveling, going back and forth. So you get charged for all that, right?
And if the person really want to be combative, they're going to drag it out as long as they
Wow.
can.
That's right.
And make it cost you as much as they
possible.
can do.
Do you provide pro bono services for those who can't afford?
I do.
Okay.
I try to take at least 4 or 5 pro bono cases, whether it's a bankruptcy or divorce a year. I do it through the Brooklyn Bar Association. Those, for people who really have a bad situation and they have no available funds, then, they pick out the cases, send it to my office, and I do.
Okay, before you go, just give us your website and your phone number where they can find you one more time.
Okay, website is, I think it's JC Kim. I can't remember. jckimlaw.com, I think. All right. If you look up John C. Kim, it'll bring up my law thing. And my phone number is 718-210-4794. 718-210-4794.
Just take the 4-3 train down to Court Street.
right next to Borough Hall, so you can just you can get married.
You met him 5 years too late. All right, everyone. John C. Kim. Keep it locked.
Pure music, news, interviews on the topic uncensored. Everybody does love this real bad. We go all out and done. We go all out. We go all out and done. We go all out. We go all out and done. Party till night come down. Here we go all out. We go all out and done. We go all out. We go all out and done. We go all out. We go all out and done. Party till night come down. How will the girl them a view? Hanging up interview. I want to heap on them, not a few. Every step in my shoe is something new. Them calling them friends and them crew. Earlier up, that one I run with like a road taxi. It uncensored, call the paparazzi. And it up in your face like acne. Not even stop sign, yeah, stop me. That one you uncensored. Anywhere in the world it's uncensored.